Hello everyone. So today let me share one more interesting thing that you can do when it comes to using org mode for creating contracts or documents in general. So let me share, or let me give you some background. So in the past few videos I have made, I've shared how I have been using org mode when it comes to producing letterheads or contracts. And in one of my videos, I think in my last video, I think I shared macro replacement. Basically, when you have a big document, let us say you have a contract, right? And when you create a contract, you may want to use or reuse the same contract. So what I have done, I have basically defined a template. Let us say if I have to create a contract for employees, and for each and every employee you need to use the same contract template, but the name and other details would be different. So what you can do, this video is not really about macro replacement. So what you can do, or maybe it is, but what you can do is you can actually have your template, copy it to a separate file. So basically you have two files. So basically when you create a new contract, you copy the template, and then in the template or in the copied version of that particular contract for that particular person, you use the macro replacement. So basically you can change the employee name, or you can change the job title, issue date, like the date when you are issuing that particular contract, commencement date, like the date when you want that particular person to join, your the salary and everything. But I don't like the idea of copying the contract, the template. I think the template should be used because I have programming mindset. I learned programming when I was growing up, and I believe in the idea of inheritance or some kind of object-oriented programming. Of course, I'm just not really trying to compare directly, but I believe in that philosophy that you should reuse wherever applicable, and you should optimize. Of course, when you create one org file, it's probably in kilobytes, right? And when you create a copied version of it, it is again in kilobytes, not really going to consume GBs of my hard disk space. But I don't like the idea of copying the same text and keeping it in other files. Ideally, you should be able to refer to it. And when I was playing with macro replacement, I thought ideally you should refer to that particular contract, which I'm doing right now. For example, in this particular contract is actually for a specific employee. So this would be the file, and that is it. And in this particular file, the only thing that I need to change is, of course, the macros, where you have these variables, employee name, etc., etc. And this particular file should be able to generate the contract for me, and the actual content is actually sitting in the template. So I'm basically calling this template, or basically including this template in my contract for that particular employee, and I'm making sure that I'm not including the top 7 lines. So this part is something which I don't massively like, specifying the line numbers that you want to exclude, because ideally there should be a smart way to make sure that it will exclude all the lines starting with hash plus. But I guess I'm fine with that. I cannot, because I'm not really going to do it each and every day. It's going to be once in a while, and whenever I of course have to generate a contract, I will of course take a look at the output, and if needed, if my template has some modifications, I will change it. So it is not the ultimate solution, but it works. I can live with that. I'm happy with that. I'm happy with hard coding 7 lines that I want to exclude. So if I now generate the PDF, what will happen? Of course, it will consider, because till this point, it is going to use the title which I'm using in my contract, because it's a big document. So you need like a title page, and even in the subtitle where I'm specifying, this contract is between Sparksys Solutions Limited, and this employee. Good thing is that even your the macro is actually in later lines, but this org mode is smart enough to pick it up. So I guess the moment you try to generate this or export it to PDF, these variables are not really read in sequence. I guess there is some global buffer, whatever, where the values are stored and then used in the PDF production. And of course, these macros, because usually the way include works, it is not really going to. It is in a way not calling that. I mean, it's not like a method that you're calling in a separate file, because in C++ we used to include. I mean, I don't really code in C++. Occasionally, if I have to modify something in my DWM configurations, I modify the header file and then I have to rebuild it. But I don't really code in C++, unfortunately, or C. Although I would love to. That would be my ultimate goal, if I can just write C code, C++ code, and do nothing else. Anyways, so not really going off track. So what I was saying, that the way include works, when this is exported, the content of this particular file, the template file, is actually dumped here, or not here, but in the PDF. And basically, in a way, the output will have each and everything that you want, but the actual raw or the code file, it's like a code, right? So basically, you're using this to generate the PDF or HTML, whatever. So that output will have the content. So it's like a replacement of the. So when you're including, you're replacing the content of that particular file, excluding 7 lines here. And of course, I'm making sure that I am. So whenever you are exporting it to PDF, you need to. I mean, I prefer my the TOC page. So basically, the content should start from a new page. So I'm using this clear page. So it looks neat. And yeah, that is it. It's a simple thing, but I think this works really fine. Now I think I'm quite happy. I want to make all the HR guys who have to deal with producing documents manually. I feel sad for them unless they learn how to use org mode Emacs, which is unlikely. In my professional career, I'm sure a lot of people use Emacs org mode because of course there is a lot of activity online, and of course a lot of people are making videos about it, which is a good thing. But so far, professionally, like people I work with, I have just encountered or not encountered. I met only one person, and that person was my manager's manager. So he was like, the head of the department, and I was so happy to hear that. And usually, when you talk to someone like super senior, you don't really have a lot to common. When you meet them the first time, but the moment he mentioned to me, oh yeah, I also use org mode. I mean, we had a lot in common, and I immediately started liking him. Only because I'm a bit biased, because he was using org mode, and of course I know other people. I actually met someone here in UK. He's now, I think, a good friend. I hope he's watching this video, and he also uses org mode, and we can talk about it all day long with few beers. But yeah, I think the whole point of me making these videos is I'm not just using. I mean, that is the thing about me. When I use something, I try. I'm not very rigid when it comes to using open source Linux, because I've mentioned this in the past. I have to use Windows. I have to use Mac, and I have to use Excel. So I use whatever I have to use. I use whatever tools I have access to. But wherever applicable, wherever possible, I of course use Linux. And I'm proud to say that I have been using Linux for 20 plus years now. And when it comes to using org mode, I have been using it. To be honest, in the beginning, it was for some reason I liked it in the beginning. I think when I started using org mode many years ago, I was using it only and only for task management, like not even for note taking. I was only using it for simple task management. And that is the thing with org mode, you have to give it some time. And the moment you start giving it some time, like the moment you start investing it, I think it's like few months, and after few months there is like a threshold. The moment you cross that threshold, there is no going back. I mean, once you get the idea of how org mode works, and to be honest, I don't really use each and everything, but I know enough to solve my own problems, to solve my common problems. I use org mode for doing a lot of things, and that is what I have been doing on my channel. And if you watch my videos, I try to focus on just one thing. Like, let us solve a simple problem. Let us not try to, like, I don't really make lengthy videos where I cover each and everything, because usually people get lost and it is a bit difficult to follow. I try to make my videos searchable so that if someone is trying to use org mode for doing something like, okay, I want to learn how to make contracts, so they can reach my video. And I think it's easier for me to make smaller videos focusing on one problem, and let us solve one problem, and then of course move on to something else. And I hope you're enjoying my videos on not just org mode, Emacs, but things that I try to do in general to live a better life using, of course, open source tools. All right, that is it. That is all I wanted to talk about. I hope you enjoyed watching this video and you learned something new. Thank you very much. Bye bye.